Hey guys, welcome to Knocks Out Comics, where I talk all things comics and manga. I'm Jay, and today I'm going to be listing 10 of my favorite Storm moments. Storm is one of the most iconic X-Men, and clearly one of my favorites since I'm making this video. So without further ado, let's get started. This moment takes place between Uncanny X-Men Volume 1, issues 169 to 170. The X-Men come into conflict with the Morlocks and their leader Callisto, after Callisto kidnaps Angel in an attempt to make him her husband. The Morlocks, for those who don't know them, were a large community of mutants who believed they were outcasts due to their physical appearances that decided to live in underground tunnels. At this point, Storm has sworn to never take the lives of living beings, but to save her friend and teammate, she's forced to fight to the death with Callisto and nearly kills her. This is one of almost every Storm fan's favorite moments. This is also one of Storm's best leadership moments. She's shown to be perfectly capable of making hard decisions, going against her own vow to save a life. Taking place in Storm Volume 3, issues 7 through 8, we see Storm on a flight to New York City. She meets a senator who's kind of an ass. Then the plane gets messed up when it comes under attack by mysterious enemies. Storm fends off the assailants and safely anchors the plane to its destination, and when they return to New York, the senator accuses Storm of orchestrating the entire attack, and she ends up being taken into FBI custody. She escapes and later finds out that the senator has ties to a previous foe she's faced and goes to confront him. My favorite moment comes when she shows up to the senator's home. She literally blows off the roof, deflects his security's bullets, tosses the guards around, and ultimately scares the crap out of the senator. She gets answers from him, and we find out that the attackers from the flight were sent to kill the senator. He's afraid for his life and tells Storm that their enemy was dead and came back to life. He can't stop him. Storm, being the badass she is, tells him, "Then I guess we'll die trying." I love seeing Storm as an aggressive fighter because we usually see her so calm and regal. It's a treat when we see her let loose. Coming out of Avengers Volume 4, issue 19, the Avengers are changing up their roster, and Captain America goes to recruit the Black Panther, but T'Challa is unable to join, but he tells Cap that he needs his wife. In the next panel, we get a completely unbothered Storm casually going, "You rang?" Cap invites her to join, and you would think that if Captain America is recruiting you, you'd be excited, but not Storm. She suspects that her husband put Cap up to this and seems a little annoyed, believing T'Challa would do anything to keep her in New York. Sidebar, after Storm says this, Luke Cage, who has his daughter in his arms and is standing right next to his wife Jessica Jones, a little too excitedly goes, "Who can blame him?" And Jessica angrily demands that he give her her baby. I thought I was done laughing until we later see Aurora talking to Wolverine. He asks her if she's an Avenger now, and she goes, "I suppose," still unbothered. I think I may be in the minority on how funny this is, but Storm not fangirling like most people do in Cap's presence says a lot, and the addition of Luke Cage and Jessica Jones made it even funnier. Taking place in X-Men Volume 4, Issue 7. During a mission, the X-Men are attacked by soldiers and a weaponized forest because reasons. Storm has had enough and goes on to superheat the entire forest, giving dozens a heat stroke. She's so angry that Rachel Summers has to snap her out of it, or else she'll also harm her teammates. Let this be a lesson. Don't screw with Storm. She can give you heat stroke or freeze you to death, which leads me to my next pick. Flying out of the X-Women one-shot, Emma Frost is kidnapped by a psychotic Baroness, who I'm not even sure Marvel named. It's up to the group of X-Women to save her, but when they show up, the Baroness easily dispatches them, as she seems to be immune to their powers. She tries to escape but doesn't make it far before her shuttle crashes. Just as she's monologuing like all self-respecting villains do, Storm cuts her off by flash freezing her. And to make matters worse for her, but hilarious to me, Emma attacks the frozen husk formerly known as the Baroness. Coming in from Wolverine's issue 6, after the death of Logan, Mr. Sinister steals his corpse, because that's exactly what Sinister does. He's a psychotic scientist, and he wants to run some experiments. During a mission to retrieve Wolverine's corpse, Sinister locks Storm and her allies in a lab, saying nothing lives, nothing escapes. Done with Sinister's psychotic bullshit, Storm scrambles his brain via electricity, which could instantly kill any normal person. But of course this can't kill Sinister, and Storm knows this. On top of this, Mystique is stunned at Storm's actions and comments that Storm has changed. Storm, ever the Shade Queen, tells Mystique, Meanwhile, you never change, and I hope no one is foolish enough to trust you or they'll wind up in dire straits. I'm always down for shade from Storm because her quality of shade is very matter of fact and she very rarely ever apologizes for how she feels. In the events of X-Men Worlds Apart, the story focuses on Storm's struggle to balance life as both an X-Man and the Queen of Wakanda. So many things happen in this book, like the Shadow King possessing several of Storm's allies, one of which is Cyclops, and it leads to a second duel between them. We also see Storm stand her ground against Bast, the Panther God, and his judgment, and she ends up getting him to help her defeat the Shadow King. This story really gives us a good look inside of Storm's mind, and it's a pleasure being there. In Uncanny X-Men Volume 1 Issue 214, the X-Men are fighting Malice, a psionic entity that can possess sentient beings. While being possessed by her, the victim sports a black necklace that has a medallion with her face on it. She possesses many X-Men before setting her sights on Storm, but through sheer force of will, Storm rejects her and crushes the necklace. This is one of the few issues where it's shown that despite not being a telepath, Storm is very strong mentally. Taking place in Fantastic Four Volume 1, Issue 545. During her time as part of the Fantastic Four, Storm comes into conflict with the Silver Surfer, and she's able to subdue him with her powers. And this happened way before it was revealed that she was an Omega level mutant, though it has been implied before. And finally, taking place in Uncanny X-Men Volume 1, Issues 146 and 147, the X-Men are captured by Dr. Doom, but that would later turn out to be a Doombot. The Doombot set various traps for the X-Men, but for Storm, he traps her in organic chrome, making her face the epitome of confinement. This triggers Aurora's claustrophobia, and she subconsciously creates a massive storm across the entire eastern seaboard. She's eventually freed, but at this point she's become one with the planet and all of its elements are at her command. She's pissed and attacks both the Doombot and the X-Men. Though she doesn't want to harm her teammates, they're just kind of in her way. It takes Colossus to get through to her and she's able to stop the storm, but this drains her. To me, this was one of the best moments for Storm and showed her almost becoming a Dark Phoenix level threat all on her own, without an additional entity taking credit for it. So those were my favorite moments, and favorites are completely subjective. Tell me yours in the comments. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell. I'll see you guys next time.